Jai Sri Radhe. In this episode, we will discuss about three personalities: Abul Faizi, the elder brother of Abul Fazl, Raja Todarmal, the Hindu king, and Man Singh. So let's start. First, discuss about Abul Faizi. Abul Faizi, the elder brother of Abul Fazl, is reckoned as another gem of Akbar's court. He is said to have been a poet, though he is seldom quoted or included in any respectable anthology. Faizi was born on September 1547 AD in Agra. He was introduced to Akbar in 1568 AD when his father had failed Agra, since he was given to understand that Akbar wanted to execute him. Faizi was for some time employed as a tutor to Prince Murad. Later, he was appointed as a Sardar in Agra. In 1588 AD, he was honored with a poet laureate. He and Amir Khusru are reckoned as two noteworthy Persian poets among Muslim in medieval Bharat. Faizi is said to have authored 101 books. Such claims must, however, be properly and meticulously investigated before being believed. Faizi was at times deputed as an envoy. In 1592 AD, he visited the Deccan on one such mission. He suffered from asthma. On a Saturday, October 4 or 5, 1595, he died at Agra. Interestingly, Vincent Smith has scant respect for Faizi's poetic muse. He says, quote, "The versifiers or so-called poets at Akbar's court were extremely numerous." Unquote. Abul Fazl tells us that Vincent Smith is giving the quotation of Abul Fazl. Quote, "Although Akbar did not care for them, thousands are continually at court," Abul Fazl is saying. In fact, it is these fawning versifiers hanging around for filthy lucre who have been mistaken for scribes and chroniclers by contemporary Jesuits. It is no wonder, therefore, that no historical records to talk of are found of Muslim rule in Bharat. What is found is a pile of panegyric hiding beastly deeds. So Vincent Smith again saying, quote, "So far as I can see, the Indo-Persian works of Akbar's age possess little interest as monuments of literary art. It is a relief to turn from the triviality and impurity of most of the versifiers in Persian to the virile, pure work of great Hindu Tulsidas, the Hindu versifiers of epic Ramayana, the tallest tree in the magic garden of medieval Hindu poesy. His name will not be found in the Ain-e-Akbari or in the pages of any Muslim analyst." So this is the proof of the fanatic Islamic exclusiveness of medieval Muslim regimes. So Vincent Smith is saying, or in the books of European authors based on narratives of Persian historians. Surprisingly, even some Indian books, they don't mention the name of Goswami Tulsidas. Now, please listen carefully what Vincent Smith is saying about Goswami Tulsidas. Quote, "Yet that Hindu Tulsidas was the greatest man of his age in Bharat, greater even than Akbar himself, inasmuch as the conquest of the hearts and minds of millions of men and women effected by the poet was an achievement infinitely more lasting and important than any or all of the victories gained in war by the monarch. He does not appear ever to have been brought to the notice of either the emperor or Abul Fazl. Tulsidas enjoyed no advantages of birth, fortune, or education, being the son of ordinary Brahmin parents who exposed him in his infancy to live or to die because he had been born in an unlucky hour. Fate or providence willed that the child should be picked up by a wandering mendicant who gave him sustenance as well as instruction in the legendary love of Lord Ram. Abul Fazl gives many extracts from the writing of the Select 59, which I have read in either English dress without finding a single sentiment worth quoting. Although the extracts include passages from the works of his brother Faizi, the king of poets, which Abul Fazl considered to enshrine gems of thought. Most of the authors prostitute the word love to the service of the unholy passion, and Faizi sins in that way like others. Many of the persons who claimed the honorable name of poet had no better claim to that title than the composer of acrostics, for a magazine has. They exercise their perverse ingenuity in torturing words in all sorts of shapes, omitting words with dotted letters, constructing cunningly devised chronograms, and such like trivialities. Blochman held that after Amir Khusru of Delhi, Mohammedan India has seen no greater poet than Faizi. So, admitting the justice of Blochman's verdict, I can only say that the other poets of Mohammedan India must be worth very little. They do not seem to have written anything with substance in it, sufficient to stand the ordeal of translation. Nearly all of them are disgraced by the filthiness to which allusions has been made. Who is saying this? Vincent Smith is saying this. So, Vincent Smith has thus very effectively and competently pricked the bloated bubble of fantastic claims about the literary merit of not only Faizi but of all Muslim authors. In a 1,000-year-long rule in an atmosphere surcharged with cooperative, conjoined, chauvinistic flattery, medieval Muslim chronicles, poetry, treatise, and translations of Hindu works have been boosted as a rare gem of Muslim scholarship. Smith effectively scotches these claims in pointing out that the chronicles rarely contained any truth worth the name, and the poetry rarely embodies any noble sentiment, imagery, or melody. Viewers who care for real history and not communal fantasy must therefore carefully examine all claims of medieval Muslims' imperial pressure propaganda. It could be that the expertise in astronomy and Sanskrit, geometry and geography claimed in the name of authors like Al-Biruni and Badawini are gross exaggerations of an age of rampant illiteracy. Now we will discuss about the Hindu Raja Todarmal. Todarmal was a Rajput Kshatriya. He was first employed on a minor post to keep Akbar's military accounts. Having proved to be a dependable stooge, he rose to power and eminence. Like Mansingh, he too was employed to coax and cajole proud Rajput chiefs into surrendering their daughters for Akbar's harem. Many a time Mansingh and Todarmal themselves brought such daughters through coercive force to Akbar. In 1567 AD, Todarmal was deputed to subdue the impostor Sikandar Shah, running riot in the Ajodhya region. He achieved success in that, and the subsequent campaigns entrusted to him. Like Abul Fazl, Todarmal too proved to a perfect factotum. That was the surest way to Akbar's favor. In 1576 AD, when Akbar conquered Gujarat, he deputed Todarmal to see that enough money was extracted from the Gujaratis to settle all claims, pay for all expenses of Akbar's aggression, and yet leave a handsome margin for the royal treasury. Todarmal did such a thorough job of it that an impoverished Gujarat was struck by an unprecedented famine. Akbar's chroniclers were bound to boast Todarmal's financial talent, which squeezed the wealth of poor, downtrodden, defenseless subjects to fill Akbar's treasury and sustain a parasitic nobility. But that is no reason why modern authors in blind faith should continue lauding in lyrical rapture Todarmal's fiscal wizardry in the same old imperial strain. Vincent Smith, an independent thinker, rightly observes, Quote, the systematic assessment of empire for which Akbar and Todermal are given so much credit was primarily intended to increase the imperial revenue. Akbar was a hard-headed man of business, not a sentimental philanthropist, and his whole policy was directed principally to the acquisition of power and riches. All the arrangements about Jagirs, branding of horses to offend the Hindus, etc., were devised for the one purpose, namely the enhancement of the power, glory, and riches of the crown. We do not know anything substantial about the actual effect of his administrative measures on the welfare and happiness of the common citizens. Certainly, they did not prevent the occurrence of one of the most terrible famines on record which desolated northern India late in the reign from 1595 to 1598 AD. About the revenue system devised by Todermal, which is praised sky high in average Indian histories. Badayuni, a contemporary chronicler, notes that Badayuni is saying, quote, the usurious exactions were squeezed and screwed out of the poor subjects with such ferocity that the wives and children of the raiats, peasantry, were sold as slaves and scattered abroad, and everything was thrown into confusion. But the middlemen were brought to account by Raja Todermal, and many good men died from the severe beatings which were administered and from the tortures of the rack and pincers. So many died from the protracted confinement in the prisons of the revenue authorities that there was no need of the executioner or swordsman, and no one cared to find them graves or grave cloths. At the time of famine and distress, parents were allowed to sell their children. Unquote. It is no wonder then that on July 28, 1587 AD, at night, a Khatri from private hatred wounded Todermal in a murderous assault. The man was at once cut down. The length to which Todermal used to go to curry favor with the Muslims may be judged from the fact that in Hindustan, where a vast majority of the population was Hindu and from times immemorial, accounts used to be maintained in indigenous languages. It was Todermal who for the first time ordered that all government accounts should thenceforth be written in Persian language. He thus forced his co-religionists to learn the court language of their alien rulers. Unquote. Blochman quotes Badayuni about Akbar having passed orders that the common people should no longer learn Arabic because such people were generally the cause of much mischief. Unquote. If even Akbar realized that perpetuation of Arabic caused mischief in Hindustan, the same rule should apply to Persian. Justifying the abolition of Arabic, Dr. Srivastava observes, quote, that obviously Arabic could not be a language of the people of India, unquote. But he forgets that Persian too is equally alien to Bharat. Despite Todermal's towing the Muslim line, it must be said to his credit that he remained a staunch Hindu to the end of his life. He successfully defied open and subtle pressure to convert or coerce him into accepting Islam. Once, when about to leave on a campaign for Punjab, he found all the idols and paraphernalia of worship missing from his home altar. Obviously, it was a subtle Muslim way of impressing upon an orthodox Todermal that he could do without his usual Hindu worship and prayers. Poor, helpless Todermal fretted and fumed and starved himself for food and water for 3 days, in a state of mental torment for having missed his devotions. Ultimately, he had to reconcile himself to the sacred laws. Disgusted by such insult, pinpricks, and affronts, a harried Todermal resigned and lived in Banaras and Haridwar, but was recalled. He did not, however, live long thereafter. At the age of 54, on November 10, 1589 AD, he died in Lahore. Now, let us discuss about Man Singh. Man Singh was the grandson of the Jaipur ruler Bharmal. Like his two immediate ancestors, Man Singh, forgetting his proud Rajput tradition, wielded the sword of Islam and allowed women of his family to be lifted at will by alien Muslim rulers and nobility in Bharat. He was therefore deeply hated by Rana Pratap. Once, when he went to Rana Pratap's abode to negotiate on behalf of Akbar, the brave and patriotic Rana of indomitable spirit refused to dine with Man Singh, a Muslim stooge, as he called him. After Man Singh's departure, he had the earth at the meeting place dug up, purified, and the utensils thoroughly cleansed and disinfected from the contagion of slavery. Man Singh's sister was married to Jahangir, while his father's sister was married to Akbar. Man Singh was born at Amber. He joined Akbar when his grandfather Bharmal surrendered his daughter to Akbar's harem. In 1984 AH, he was sent against Rana Pratap, and in the next year he had to cross swords with the great Rana in the Battle of Haldighat, when Bhagavan Das, uncle of Man Singh, was appointed governor of Punjab. Man Singh commanded the districts along the Indus. Later, he was sent to restore order in Kabul. His uncle Bhagavan Das, disgusted with the treachery, debauchery, and fanaticism at the Muslim court, went mad, according to Abul Fazl, and later stabbed himself. At his death in 998 age, Man Singh succeeded to the title of Raja. On his Muslim subordinates complaining against him for not pandering to their fanaticism, he was recalled from Kabul and appointed governor to Bihar to subdue patriotic and brave Hindu rulers of the region, like Puranmal and Raja Sangram. In the 35th year of Akbar's reign, Man Singh was deputed to invade Odisha. He succeeded in wresting Jagannath Puri, the famous Hindu shrine, for his Muslim overlord. When some Afghans attacked and desecrated Jagannath Puri for the umpteenth time, Man Singh led another attack on Odisha and annexed it to Akbar's empire. It was this Man Singh who owned the famous Taj Mahal in Agra. It was wrested from his grandson Jai Singh by Akbar's grandson Shah Jahan to bury his wife Mumtaz in. Man Singh outlived Akbar and died in the 9th year of Jahangir's reign. Since Jahangir had murdered Manbai, his wife, who was Man Singh's sister, Man Singh had plotted to prevent Jahangir from coming to the throne and proclaimed Jahangir's son Khusru emperor after Akbar's death. Despite his having spent a whole lifetime in fighting Akbar's battle and indirectly helping the spread of Islam, Man Singh was deeply hated by Akbar. Once during a drunken brawl, Akbar had tried to throttle Man Singh. The latter was saved because of the intervention of some other courtiers then present. In 1605 AD, Akbar wanted to poison Man Singh by administering him some poison pills. Unluckily for him, however, Akbar's perfidy boomeranged on himself. He had prepared two doses of pills looking alike. One contained poison, while the other was a harmless dummy. Through oversight, he swallowed the poison pills himself, while passing on the innocuous ones to Man Singh in all confidence. The result was that Akbar died, while Man Singh survived. Disgusted with the lecherous and treacherous atmosphere at the Muslim court, Man Singh's son Jagat Singh and a number of other descendants drank themselves to death.